Okay, so Trump is obsessed with tariffs and always talking about how they used to be the best way to raise money for the government. So, fine, let's take a quick look at the history of tariffs. The McKinley Tariff Act of 1890 was a Republican, nationalist, America First movement. Sound familiar? It killed the economy and resulted in the Depression of 1893. It added a 50% tax on goods, which raised prices, obviously. It destroyed the Republican Party in the midterm elections of 1890, with McKinley losing his seat himself. Could this be foreshadowing to the 2026 midterms? The country learned a lesson, though, right? Well, 40 years later, the Smoot-Hawley tariffs of 1930 increased taxes on over 20,000 imported goods by almost 60%. How'd it go this time? It plunged the US further into the Great Depression, dropped global trade by 65%, and is generally considered to be one of the worst policy errors in the history of this country. After our leaders saw tariffs crush our economy twice in their lifetime, they learned their lesson, dropped the tariffs, and found smarter ways to conduct international trade. That is until 2025. Maybe third time's the charm, right? Not at all, but I'll get to that data in a second. For a quick comparison, the Trump administration has enacted tariffs that are exponentially higher than either of the previous two attempts, both of which crashed our economy. It's like you test an electric fence twice by barely touching it as quickly as possible and getting shocked both times. Then you decide maybe it won't shock you a third time if you just wrap your entire body in the fence. So, what kind of effect did the tariffs have on our country's economy in the short time they were enacted last year? Our core PCE inflation is at the highest it's ever been since 2023, and our GDP growth is 1.4%, which is the slowest since COVID. We are also effectively losing jobs at a staggering rate. As seen above, we only added 181,000 jobs in 2025, which is a massive drop since 2024. Why is this a loss? Our population grows by between 2 and 3 million people per year. So if we're only gaining 200,000 jobs a year, we won't have enough jobs for everybody. The most depressing part of the entire situation is in manufacturing and construction. According to Trump, the entire purpose for all of this was to increase jobs in manufacturing and construction. Construction has plummeted, which will just continue to further hurt the housing prices. And manufacturing has effectively not changed. So, where do we go from here? With the Supreme Court ruling that the majority of Trump's tariffs are illegal, he has added a blanket 15%, which is up from 10% yesterday, tariff on just about everything. What changes can we expect? While the Trump administration is claiming that dropping all of these tariffs will make zero change to the money collected, common sense, as well as experts, disagree. Penn Wharton has calculated that the new changes to tariffs will cut collections in half this year compared to previous projections. This could be good news for lower income households, however, who are struggling with the rising prices. Unless you shop at places like Shein or Temu, but it will be terrible for our deficit and subsequently our national debt. Because the de minimis tax has increased from 0 to 15%, all of those smaller orders we buy from overseas will now have a 15% tax added to them. This could also be a positive, however, since shopping from places like Temu and Shein is problematic in a few ways, and this could encourage shopping from retailers who are a little less, let's say, complicated. Either way, President Trump has no idea what he's doing. On top of that, he either has no advisors who know what they're doing, or he just refuses to listen to them. As the economy continues to fall and he must get more and more extreme with his distractions, I continue to hope that the 2026 midterm elections pummel him enough that his sycophants flee the sinking ship that is Donald Trump so they can patch up the sinking ship that is the United States economy.